So this is the most recent article I can find as of basically midnight, Saturday the 11th of October. I think I'll just put out this video right away once it's done editing, so there won't be a delay on it, how relevant it is when it comes out. So I want to look at the most recent thing kind of about what's going on in Gaza and see what AP are reporting on. AP still probably overall a little bit more pro-Israel, kind of more centrist, but slightly more pro-Israel. Yeah, not as bad as obviously the Telegraph or say the BBC, but not bad. So let's look. Tens of thousands of Palestinians headed back to the heavily destroyed northern Gaza Strip as a US brokered ceasefire comes into effect in a deal that raised hopes for ending the Israel-Hamas war. All the remaining hostages were set to be released within days. Questions remain over who will govern Gaza as Israeli troops gradually pull back, and whether Hamas will disarm, they should not, as called for in US ceasefire plan. Benjamin Netanyahu ended a ceasefire Benjamin Netanyahu, who unilaterally ended a ceasefire march, hinted that Israel might renew its offensive if Hamas does not give up its weapons. I think even if Hamas does, they probably would do such. The fighting has killed tens of thousands of Palestinians and displaced about 90% of the Gaza population of some 2 million, often multiple times. Many of them will find fields of rubble where their homes once stood, and probably bodies, unfortunately. The military confirmed at the start of the ceasefire Friday, and that remaining 48 hostages, around 20 of them are believed to be alive, are to be released by Monday. Palestinians say heavy shelling in parts of Gaza early on Friday had stopped mostly after military announcements, but there was still bombing a few hours ago as of me recording this. Netanyahu said in a televised statement Friday that the next stage would see Hamas disarmed and Gaza demilitarized. This should not happen. Nowhere in Palestine should be demilitarized, because we see what Israel does to militarized neighbors. Imagine what they would do to a demilitarized neighbor. The Israeli military said it will continue to operate defensively from the roughly 50% of Gaza it still controls after pulling back to agreed upon lines. Aid shipments begin on Sunday, which is 2 days' time as we record. Well, 1 day time as we're recording this. The International Criminal Court is seeking to arrest Benjamin Netanyahu. The aid will include 170,000 metric tons that have been positioned in neighbouring countries such as Jordan and Egypt as humanitarian officials await permission from Israeli forces to start their work, which some of that aid might be ruined. US officials and Israeli authorities have engaged in a series of discussions in Jerusalem over the last 24 hours about the volume of aid humanitarian organizations can bring in and through which entry points, which is crazy because Israel was doing this propaganda basically saying we weren't stopping anyone bringing the aid, guys, that wasn't us, we totally didn't do that, and now they're saying, oh yeah, Israel are now giving them permission to bring the aid, which then suggests Israel were the ones stopping them bringing in aid. Ugh! In the last several months, the UN and its partners have been able to deliver only 20% of the aid needed in the Gaza Strip, according to UN humanitarian chief Tom Fletcher. People on the move. A steady stream of people, the vast majority on foot, crammed onto the coastal road in the central Gaza Strip, heading north to see what might remain of their homes. It was a repeat of emotional scenes from the earlier ceasefire in January. This is the thing that scares me. Others headed to different parts of the Palestinian territory in the south. The destruction they find this time will be even greater. After Israel waged a new offensive in Gaza City in the north in recent weeks, the military bombed high-rises and blew up homes in what they said was an attempt to destroy Hamas's remaining military infrastructure. This is... I remember at the time talking about the destruction of the high-rises, because high-rises, especially in a densely populated area, are such a key lifeline for people. A key... What do they... Man, just I'm too angry to talk about it. Palestinians have expressed relief that the war may end, tempered with concern about the future and the lingering pain from the staggering death and destruction. There wasn't much joy, but the ceasefire somehow eased the pain of death and bloodshed and the pain of our loved ones and brothers who suffered in this war, said Jamal Mesbah, who was displaced from the north and plans to return. Go away, AP. I'm not giving you my details. No, whatever. This is kind of just describing the destruction of Khan Yunis. Let's actually look more at the it is interesting, which doesn't differentiate between civilians and combatants, but says around half the deaths were women and children. The ministry is part of Hamas-run government, so what? And the United Nations and many independent experts consider victory the most reliable estimate of the wartime casualties. I think it's a significantly higher number. This is going to be well over 100,000, probably multiple hundreds of thousands once the rubble is cleared. How the agreement is expected to unfold. Israel is set to release around 2,000 Palestinian prisoners. I like how they say prisoners are not hostages, because that's what they are. They are hostages. They've been kidnapped by Israel. A list published on Friday did not include high-profile prisoner Marwan I'm sorry, my Arabic is so bad. Barghouti, I think. The most popular Palestinian leader and potential unifying figure. Yeah, Barghouti is someone who I believe is polling better than both Hamas and the PA, than Abbas's party as well. So if Israel truly, and the West truly were like, oh, we can have one person to unify both sides of Palestine and then agree to a two-state solution, they would let him go. And then they'd have what they want, which is a two-state solution, which is the maintenance of the state of Israel. But obviously, they don't want that. They want Israel to colonize all the land, and so they won't. Like if everything were as the world says it was, if everything was this equal playing field we thought we were playing on, then they would let him go, because they would want him to lead a separate Palestinian state. But they don't actually want that. No one in their right mind believes a two-state solution will ever happen, because the Israelis just won't let it happen, and anyone pro-Israel won't let it happen, because why would they want a separate state when they can have one singular Israeli state with all of the land, making it far easier for them to exploit and expropriate the land? You know, you need to think about beyond what they're actually saying and actually look into their actual actions. But I digress. That's a whole other video. A senior Hamas official and lead negotiator said Thursday evening that all women and children held in Israeli jails will be freed. That's a good start. The hostages and prisoners, again, if you're calling Israeli hostages, Palestinians are hostages. Release is expected to begin Monday. 2 Egyptian officials briefed on the talks, and a Hamas official said, though other officials said they could occur as early as Sunday night. The official spoke on condition of anonymity because they were not authorized to be publicly named, speaking about negotiations. A relative, I don't care about them. The Trump plan calls for Israel to maintain an open-ended military presence inside Gaza along its borders with Israel. That's not good. We don't want that. An international force comprised largely of troops from Arab and Muslim countries will be responsible for security inside Gaza. The US would lead a massive international funded reconstruction effort. I don't like this. We don't want US money because it will rot. Everything will rot. The plan envisions an eventual role for the Palestinian Authority, something Netanyahu has long opposed, but requires the authority, which administers parts of the West Bank, to undergo sweeping reform programs that could take years. The Trump plan is even more vague about a future Palestinian state, which Netanyahu firmly rejects. So, again, at the end of the day, this is all probably... Okay, I am very skeptical I will say what I personally think will happen is in 2 weeks' time, Israel will go back to doing what they were doing anyway. They'll find an excuse. They'll say, Hamas aren't disarming fast enough. We've got to do it. We've got to stop bombing them again. And it will be exactly what happened in the beginning of this year. That's what I personally think. If I'm being optimistic, they go a few years of not attacking, maybe a year without attacking Gaza, and then they go back to mowing the lawn again, and they start killing more Palestinians again in Gaza. And in the meantime, US corporations have gotten their filthy mitts on Palestine, Gaza in particular, and tried to take whatever resources they can get from Gaza and or, land that they can try and use to build something in collaboration with the Israelis. I mean, ideally, I don't know. This plan isn't a good plan. It's extremely vague, and the only thing that's come out of it is, thankfully, maybe Palestinians will get a reprieve. A few weeks, hopefully a year's. That would be nice, but I don't really. Yeah, and again, this is on the AP. Mostly centrist, center-right, still pro-Israel at the end of the day. But, yeah,